In this lecture, we're going to talk a little bit about the animistic worldview. In all animistic traditions, reality is seen as having more than one dimension. There is the physical world in which we live, and there is the spirit world which underlies or mirrors this world. These two levels of reality are not separate, but rather two sides of the same coin. When dealing with the other world or spirit world, we deal with ideas, feelings, emotions, and very broad archetypes. For those of you who are not familiar with the term archetype, I will briefly explain it. An archetype is the sort of capital ideal of a thing, like kingship, parenthood, heaven, hell, a universal model on which smaller instances are based. For example, all kings are instances of the archetype kingship. Popular examples of archetypes would be Merlin the magician from Arthurian legend, who is the same archetype as Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars. These two figures would be universally recognized for what they are, regardless of any background into their stories. They're derived from the same archetype. All things that exist in the physical world have an archetype or a model that exists in the spirit realm. For example, in Native American tradition, all bears are individual instances of the bear spirit, or the archetype of bearhood. And this goes for anything from people to animals, are all individual instances of a greater spiritual concept. So in the spirit world, from an animistic perspective, all things have their model in the other world. Things in the physical world derive their qualities from those archetypal models in the spirit world. Therefore, if we wish to affect a thing through magic in the physical world, that is easily done by having a spiritual effect on the model or archetype of that thing in the spirit world. By association, we can affect physical things by changing them in the spirit. You may have heard the term as above, so below. And this means that everything that exists here also exists there, and vice versa. Magic is the art of manipulating back and forth between the spiritual worlds and the physical worlds so that we can achieve correspondence between the two. For example, if we wish to establish wealth and prosperity in the physical world, we derive wealth and prosperity from that archetype or model in the spiritual world. We reach into the spiritual world and draw out the essence of that thing which we desire and plant that or root that in the physical world. There are living entities in the spiritual world just as they are in the physical world. The art of witchcraft and sorcery for ages has included a dialogue or communication between the inhabitants of the spiritual world and the inhabitants of the physical world. For every individual who exists in the physical world, they have their mirror or shadow counterpart in the spiritual world or the other world. For whatever is there is also here. This is very important to understanding the nature of how magic works. Because if we want to influence something on the opposite side in the opposite world, what we have to do is reach into the corresponding world in order to effect change. The world that we know through our minds and our five senses in this world is present in the spiritual world. This is a paradox. What we do and create here in this world also comes to being in the spirit world. The important value here is to understand that the practice of magic, those things that we do here through ritual, is a process of forcing that mirror relationship to occur in the spiritual world. It's a constant dialogue of symbols back and forth between the two realities. Remember, What affects one reality also affects the other, and the practice of magic is achieving that exchange between realities in order to manifest that which we desire here.